Hello, this is Ada Ray from Bricksmaven, and I have a very exciting video for you guys today. If you've been watching the channel, released a design for a one-page website which I'm creating. It's actually a mini course series that I'm going through. Take a look at that. You can find it in the playlist. The thumbnails of the videos are like dark blue. Watch them, they're pretty good. It actually started out in Figma. Now we're moving over to Brick, so it would be cool if you went over to the channel and watched those. But in this video, I want to continue on my components series that I've been created. So first of all, I created a video where I looked at components. We created a very versatile intro section, and then we looked at slots. And in this video, I want to look at using data attributes with components. And someone already asked me in the comments if I could also create a video about it. So this is the video that I'm going to walk you through using data attributes with components. So that's what the video is basically about. So what are data attributes? So data attributes are just basically they help you to select and style HTML elements with a specific attribute or attribute value, or both, obviously. So I just have an example I want to show you guys. I'm going to reverse engineer this process, because we're going to be creating a card with different colors, right? So you might use it in a static situation, or you might want to use it in a very dynamic situation. But first of all, we'll look at the static situation, but we also look at if you style it by ID, or if you style it with CSS, or eventually looking into a situation, which is the best situation, using components. So basically, this is the end result that we're creating. As you can see, we have 3 cards. And if you're familiar with Bricks, you already know I'm using a query loop here. So I'm actually using ACF fields to determine the color on the card. Now, how I eventually got here, we're going to go through the whole process. So I'm going to be building on top of it, the different ideas, and how we'll finally get here. I'm going to also look at things like making the card manageable, scalable, and also asking the question if we can add elements to the card. And we're also going to look at different ways of actually applying data attribute to the cards. And data attribute has different ways of applying data attributes to the styling, but I'm just going to look at a specific one, because they're just different ways. It should be like a super long video, and I'm not even familiar with all of them. I know that they exist. I think that's good enough. I've not used them in different situations because I've not encountered the situation. So we're just going to look at basically styling a element that have a data attribute with a specific value. So that's what we're actually looking at today. Okay, so let's jump into the first situation. But before we actually do that, I forgot to show you one more thing. So I already saved this on the front. This is the end result, like I said, right? So what I want to do here is actually give me a second. I need to go to the front, because I created a custom post type. So when I go to services, you can see all the services I created here. So if we click on a service, a post, you can see here I have the different color schemes. So you can choose from primary, secondary, and accent. So any one I choose will be reflected on the front. So if I change, this is the first card, so I change this to secondary. If I save, go back to the front, refresh, you see that my color changed. So that's basically what the end result will be, but obviously we need to get there. So I'll put this back to primary and save. And now I can dive into the first card, and we're going to look at just using the ID styling. So some people prefer to work this way, which I totally do not recommend. Not use the ID styling. Obviously, you can use ID styling when working with components. You can do that. But in a situation where you might want to use it in a let's say you have another idea for the card, so you decouple the component, you decouple the instance from the root component, then you're left with a card, or it could be an element, whatever, that has no styling on it. So I always recommend just using styling whenever you're working. So that's just best practices. Okay, so let's say I want to have this card in I want 3 cards. It's going to be static. and I will use it on different pages of my site. So I'm going to just style it at ID. So first of all, I'll just copy them 3 times. Well, we duplicate them as you can see here. And why am I not seeing the color? What's going on here? Check. Wait. Let me refresh. Let me check on the front what's going on here. Oh, so they don't even have color. This is even false. Wait, something is not rendering well. Let me refresh. Okay, so this is what I'm left to work with. Let us go to, okay, so we don't have any background color, as you can see, no background color. Obviously I styled some stuff already. I already added some data attribute here, as you can see. I didn't want to waste time. We're going to go over everything. So in this first situation, what is it that I can do? So we all have I'm using a primary color for this example. On the other cards, I'm going to use different colors, obviously. For the first card, our border is set to, where is it? I think this is the default color. So here I'm just going to write var primary L8. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to my background and just paste in the color here, which is 10. So this is how my card looks like. So this is the default card. So I'm going to move on to the second card, and here I'm going to paste the same color again, but then I'm going to change this to secondary, and I'm also going to change it on the border. So we have, okay, so there's no color, so no color here. So this is going to be secondary, and this is changed, right? And on the last card, I'm going to change this to secondary to secondary. Oh, no, accent. This one is accent, and this needs to be set to 10. And on our border, this needs to be set to accent 2. Okay, so now we have our 3 cards. Save, and I can use this all over my site, obviously. Wait, let me just open up a new one. So I can use this all over my site. It looks good. It's cool, right? Yeah. So actually, in this instance, I might not even need a data attribute, because I can just change the colors, you know, any way that I want, right? So using ID styling, you would say, hey, you don't need no data attributes, but I can still use data attributes to define my colors. But looking at the grand scheme of things, if I have this on multiple pages, obviously I have to go to every card and make the changes. If I use data attributes, it will be the same, which I'm going to show you so that you can see it. So I go back to my, let's go back to the card, and basically we have our colors already set. I'm going to make sure that my attribute is called data scheme, right? So because I want to change colors. Okay, and here I was using the dynamic version. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to just add primary, because this means that what am I trying to say? This card that has the attribute of data scheme and has the value primary will receive a certain styling. That's what I want. So I make sure that I do this beforehand, right? So this is what I've written. So we have root, and then we have data scheme. So this is the whole decoration, right? Data scheme primary, and this I is just basically to prevent that it's case sensitivity. So if this was a uppercase P, it will still work. So here I have styled the property background color and border color. I'll give you them the colors, these colors, right? And to make sure that this is working, I'm going to remove the color here, and I'm also going to remove the background. As you can see, it's working. So I'm going to refresh, and it's working. I'm going to do the same for the others. I'm going to first of all remove color so that you'll see that it's working. Here, I'm also going to remove this color, and I'll do this for the last one. Remove this color, and also remove this color. Okay, so go back to the data scheme, and here I'll just put secondary, and you see it's already applied. And last one, you can see I'll hit accent, and you see it's applied. Okay, so the difference between the two, as you can already see, is it's actually quicker to apply the colors, because I've already created the styling beforehand. So I just basically need to change the data attribute and it applies the color directly to my element, right? So it's faster than obviously having to go to the different, I have to go to background and change it. Or if I was just writing code, I have to change it to background and I change the border and I have to do the same thing to the second card, do the same to the third card. Whereas I just need to go to the, in this case, using data attributes, I just literally go to the card, change the data attribute and it's set, change the data attribute here and it's set, and change the data attribute here and it's set. But now, once again, I have duplicated this over several pages, right? And then I'm thinking by myself, okay, I want to change this primary color, right? And this is where I actually run into a huge issue because, for example, I'll duplicate this. And this is where it's set, right? So if I want to even change this primary color, or even if I want to make, let's say I want to make this a little bit darker. So I'll set this to 8 and the border, I'll set it to like 6, right? So let's see how that looks. And you can already see it only changed the first one, right? So I need to now go to every place where I've set this and change it, which would not happen if I use styles, right? So if I use CSS classes, it would not have happened. So you can already see the issues with just styling at the D level. You know, if this was a situation where it was like a set and forget thing, then okay, it's not an issue, you know. But we're living in the times where if you just need to make sure that you build in a way that it's just easy to work with, right? So I would not, that's why I don't recommend the styling at the D level. We've already run into an issue with the data attributes right now, because now I need to literally go to every instance of this card and make the changes. That's why I would say this does not work, right? Using this. And let's even take it further. Let's say I want to change the name of primary, right? I'll run into the same issue again. I need to change it everywhere, right? Let's say not only that, by the way, not only that, because I might have let's say the second card, right? Because there's so many issues that this creates. Let's say the second card is set to secondary, right? What if I wanted that to be primary, right? I would have to literally change also this styling. I have to change it everywhere because I want it to apply. So I have to change it everywhere. If I added a fourth color, right? If I said like accent, copy this and change this to like, I don't know, base, right? So I have base here and base here. This fourth color, I have to change it everywhere. And I will be copying and pasting this code just basically because I just want all my color schemes to be together. Because if I use CSS classes, I just literally to change it on that class and I would have this setting everywhere, right? I'm coming to this. This is also pretty cool. What's here? So not a good idea. Not a good idea. Okay, let's go back to this. And I actually scrolled too far, but in this example here, you can actually pass a value of a data attribute to your properties. This is really cool actually. So I wanna actually do this. So here, the difference between the two is this is actually targeting an attribute that has a specific value and giving it a specific styling. In this case, this is just targeting the card and it's taking the information of the attributes set to this specific card and displaying their values in a property. So that's a whole different way of working. But this is actually pretty cool because it actually gives you don't need to set styling beforehand. So you don't need to write, this is not necessary, all the styling. Why? I will show you why. So I'm going to just remove it. I'm going to type everything by hand again so that you can see. So I'll just leave that there. I already created the data attribute. So I have a data background, which is just basically the background. I set the value, right? And I have data border. And here I also have to set the value. I'm just going to copy this because I want to change my border and my background. So this is set to be 8. And the way that this actually works is then we come down here. I say background color. and we use the attribute function, CSS. And then here I write down the attribute, which is the data BG. And then nothing actually happens here. But first, let me remove the attribute here, because so that you can see that actually not the same, because now it's taken from this, right? So you have to make sure that it works. So we have our data BG. So nothing's actually happened. Why? Because we still need to, because this is a color, we need to specify that's a color. So we need the type function, right? And then we say color, and now it works. So I'm going to go back here. And this is the border color. And this is set to border, data BG border. And let me check. Yes, and our border is there. So this is another example I've used to apply color to the card. But the fun thing about this part is I am totally free to add any color value in my attributes. So I can come down here and I can actually change this to accent, right? Wait, let me see. And change this to accent 2, or change this to accent. And there we have it. See, changed. I can also say, instead of accent, I can make this, yeah, I can, I have whatever color I have left. Do I have this color on warning? No, I don't have it. It's not working. Okay, how about base? Okay, bases is actually the same as primary. But as you can see, with this setup, you can actually add any color you want. So this is actually for if you just want the background elements, or let's say the placeholder of the color, to be open to any color. If you don't have any fixed colors, you can use it, set it up this way. It's also a good thing, but the problem at the end of the day is using the IDs. That's just going to be a problem. With changing stuff, ID styling is not just the ideal way of working. So I think I've stressed this point a lot. I'm going to move to the next point. I'm going to actually, let me see, do the same thing as I did here. I think I have this. Okay, I don't have all the stuff here, but nevertheless, let's duplicate. Let's run this to the same experiment as it did at the ID. So we're at classes here, and as you guys know, with classes, if I obviously change this color to accent, all the colors will change. So here in the ID level, I could change the colors individually, but I can't do it here. It doesn't allow that because it's all set to the same class. And if I make a change to the class, it changes everywhere. So this is not going to work. This is not going to work. To make this work, what I do need to do is to do the following. I'm going to use a modifier. So I could say this is going to be secondary, right? So on this secondary class, I will then say var secondary 10. And with this class, I can actually modify our original color, right? So it's taken from this. So now I have it set. And then I can do the same for this card, right? Let me copy the wrong thing. Edit. And then this is accent, right? And I'll do the same thing that I did here. var accent L10. Copy this. Put it in the border color field. And we basically have the same. Let me remove this. So we have our same setup here. So I can also duplicate this all over my site if I ever want to change the color of my of all the cards that have the secondary class. It's easy to do because I just come here and I can make it dark if I want, right? 5. So this changes, right? And it doesn't affect the other cards, which ID had the same thing, but it's just that if I had with the ID styling, if I had this card all over the place, I had to change it on every single instance, every single copy of this card. But with classes, it's not needed. It's just once and all the cards are changed. So for static, if you're just having this, you're just using this for static, like static cards, it's not dynamic or anything, this is perfect. This is actually a perfect solution. You can do this and this works well. It also works perfectly well with data attributes, obviously. Let's set it up real quick again. Data scheme. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this. Primary. I'm going to copy this over so you can see it for yourself. I'm just going to copy everything. So I'm going to basically just do the same that we did here. So I added this to the CSS. Obviously, what you do, the thing is with classes is you still data attributes to be set on every individual class. So that is also a downside again. If you're going to do this, if you're going to have the most optimal way, which will be components, obviously, but we're getting there. So this is set to primary. Oh, this was actually supposed to be secondary. And the last one is accent and data scheme. Okay. So now we basically have our, I put it in the, wait. Where did I put the CSS? Oh, it's the wrong place. I'm supposed to put it here. Okay, now set everywhere. Okay. As you can see, because we have our modifier set, it's overwriting obviously the default settings, right? So I have to remove this, remove our modifiers to make sure that it works. So now it's applying the data attribute styling to the cards right here. And here again, same thing. I can go further and say data PG is, obviously I need to add the color here. Primary L10, and this one was data border 8. Okay, so remove this primary, and if I'm correct, it should already be working. I'm going to test it on the front. Let me inspect the card to see if it's correct. Where's my date? Where's the data coming from? Okay, it's on the card. Okay, so it's working. Yeah, so here we have the option to. So what's the difference between the two, right? Because from what you can see here, like I said before, we have a styling that's set on a specific attribute with a specific value. And the second example is it actually gives us the freedom to add any color we want, whereas the first example is actually set to fixed colors that we have set beforehand. So maybe we have like 3 or 6 services with specific colors. We set those specific colors. But let's say we have a situation where we have like different subjects. Maybe we have like 60 or 100 subjects and they all have different colors. Well, this might be a good solution. And let's say, and then you could say, okay, but we have 50 colors, so it's fixed. But let's say in the future, the numbers are going to grow. You might have a situation where, you just want to be flexible with the colors and you have this option. But the problem with this option is, what I find is that you have to set it on 2 places, right? And what if someone does this, right? Someone does which one am I actually styling? Is the primary? Is it the correct one? Wait. Okay. I see nothing changed. Let me refresh, because sometimes what I noticed is that the color didn't come through immediately. Okay, it's not even working. So wait. Let me recheck. Primary, okay. And let me just check to see what is going on the front, because sometimes, okay, that's weird. Let me see. Okay, just weird why it's not showing. Forgot to remove the colors. But what we do know for sure is that these two are working, because or else they'll be dark like this. So it's working. Okay, so this is the problem you might run into. And what if you give this over to like a client, right? And they start adding like random colors. Obviously, they will not be, I hope they're not coming into the Bricks editor, and you do this like through maybe dynamic data, and they can, you know, you can add these colors through like a select drop down field or something. Then this will be terrible. Then the best option will be to actually go with this data scheme, because then you can have the fixed colors here. And then if they were going to use a darker color, you would also have to change the heading color, change the body text color to a light color, white or something, right? So that can also be done, but it just I think depending on your use case, you have to choose a specific solution to use this. So now I think we've looked at the ID styling, we've looked at the CSS styling using data attributes, seen the difference between it. You can also see that CSS styling is more superior, because there are things like styling, like if in this case I wanted to change like the size of the heading, I can easily do that because I'm using classes. So if I wanted this to be large, I could have changed it here. It changes everywhere. If I wanted this text to be larger, I would have to obviously change it everywhere. So ID styling, for me, it doesn't work, right? I have to change it here. And if I have this like maybe 50 more times, I have to change it on every instance, right? If I want to change the color or whatever. So this doesn't work for me, right? So classes is the better way to go with this. But then there's a much better way of doing this by looking at component. And I'm going to look at the two situations that I actually created here. So using the styling the card, the different colors through fixed, through data attribute values, right? And that have a fixed styling attached to them, or having the free style, you know, the free colors that can be added. We can also look at those. So let me go to the card, which I've already created. Obviously, I created a query loop here to loop these services so that we can actually apply the colors that are set for every service. Let me go into the component. As you see, this one I didn't style it, right? It's not needed, but I do recommend you to do that. Let me see if it's something specific I want to draw your attention to. Here I also have the different schemes. I have the colors. I set it up 2 different ways too. So here I have the same setup as with the cards, right? And here before I created I think I need to create it again. So for the, where is it? Okay, for this color, let me see, this is primary. If I was to remove this, obviously that will break to also be set back to primary. There's no color on the border. If I go to the CSS, it's now drawing its color from the data BG, right? So to make sure, yeah, see, so everything gets the same color as it. So it's actually using the free form, you know, free form field to add colors. I'll just call it that. So a much more dynamic way of doing this. Obviously, I can use a select drop down prop and add these colors to my field. I'm going to show you how to do that. Hey, look, I already created them. So I am going to actually show you actually how they look like. So I have select background color. So if I go into it, you see what I did. I created obviously a select field. I called the select background. There was no group created, and you see primary. I have the color set secondary. I have the color set accent, and I can add more colors, as much colors as I want, and set the default to primary, save. And I did the same thing to border, right? Primary, secondary, accent, all the colors I want to show. Okay, now that we've done that, I then go back to the data BG, and then I just add background, go back to the border, and here I add border. Now, the fun thing about this setup is if I go to the front, because that's where I can actually see. So I can just select the component and change the color, right? Secondary, secondary. And wait, I remove the query for now. So I want to see if this is actually applying. Let me refresh everything again, just to make sure. Okay, there it is. It was not rendering well. Okay, so we can see that it's now showing, right? And I'm going to go to accent and accent. So with props, we can simply change it to a drop down. This makes it even obviously much easier. I can easily duplicate these, right? And for every instance, I can determine which color I want, right? Primary, primary, I can change the colors, and I can have this on different places. Best thing about using it this way is I can obviously add I can add an extra element to it. The two things that actually make it cool, I can add a component. Sorry, I can add a element. So for example, if let's say I'm missing a button, right? So I can add a button. They all receive the button, right? So I can easily change this over all the different instances. This is super cool, right? I can do that. Let's say I want to future-proof it because I'm like, okay, maybe in the future I might need extra element. I can add a slot. Put it right above the button where I think the extra elements will come, and it's future-proofed, right? Because now I can come out of it, right? See, they all have a slot. And let's say I was missing something here. Maybe I wanted to, maybe I wanted to add more text, right? I could just plug that in and ready to go. And I can do that for every different instance, right? Because this is not going to be pushed to all the different components because this is just a slot. It's all in the slot, right? So this is another example where this could work very well, but I think I am going beyond the scope of this video. Let's just get back to what we're doing. And now I'm going to further enhance. I hope you guys, by the way, I hope you guys are following what I'm doing here. I'm just showing you actually different ways of applying background color to your HTML elements, or in this case, a card, and showing you using the ID, the CSS styling, and all using data attributes and what are the pros and the pros and the cons, right? So I hope that this is a very, I hope you can follow what I'm doing here. So now that we've created these props, right? What the annoying thing here is changing both, doing this the whole time, right? Changing these, what if you forgot, maybe if you changed this to primary but forgot the secondary border, right? You would rather want to like make a single change, right? And you're set, right? So the way to do that is to use variants. So let's explore variants. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to remove all the cards. That's one, because you don't need that. Delete everything. And then I'm going to go to, I need to go to the properties because I need to detach. No, I need to go to the card. I need to detach these. Detach this. And I need to also detach this one. Okay, so now we're back to our original, right? It does. Did we have a background? We don't. Wait, let me refresh so that I'm working with the foundations again. Okay, so we have this. So what I'm actually going to do now is create variants, because with the variants, I'm going to also remove the slot. We don't need that. Save. Primary. I'm going to. Okay, so it's actually, this background color is being pulled from the data BG, right? So that's why it's showing this. Put it to 10. So this is just our default. I'm gonna put back the border. Okay, so now I'm going to actually add variants. So we go to our variant screen. So we have our base. You can give that a name. You can call this is primary. I'm going to call it variant. I'm going to add 2 more variants. This is secondary, and our last variant is accent. So now what we can do is just go back, and then we edit mode, go to secondary, and here I can can make the changes here, right? I set this to secondary. Secondary, just copy that. I'm tired of writing it out again. Secondary, then we go to our accent. I hope it does it. This is not what I'm thinking that it is doing. Accent and accent primary. Well, let's see. I hope it didn't change. It didn't do what I think it did. Yes, it did what I think it did. So now, as you can see, I changed the attributes, but it applied it to all the cards, all the different variants. So this is not going to work for me. So now what I could do here is actually try and see if I can use data schemes, right, by providing a value, but I think I'll get the same result. So this is not even going to work at all. So I'm going to just remove all these. This is not going to work for me. See, it removes all the values everywhere. So this is not going to work at all. So what I just need to do is go back to the styling, because this is what's going to work. So var, this is secondary. So this should be secondary L10. L10. Wow, what's going on? L10. Keep on mistyping. It's my bad. And then add the color here. Go back to the primary. This is primary. And this is where I add the primary. Whoops. Go to our accent. This will be the last one. Accent. And also on the border, we had our accent. Set this to 10.8, sorry. And now I'm going to go back to the front. Primary, it changes. I think I made a typo there. Accent, secondary. Okay, on our primary, I made a mistake. I think primary 10. Okay, I didn't make any mistake. It's not showing for some reason. Okay, border, primary. Okay, save or refresh again. I don't know, sometimes it goes, something happens to the rendering. If it doesn't show, then this, okay, there's an issue. Okay, secondary works, accent works, so my primary doesn't work. Okay, why is that? I can't see any issue. If I even do it through this, it says in primary tab. What's the problem? Weird, strange. Do I have anything set here? There's nothing set here. There's no fix, nothing. Let's check on the front. I need to remove this and refresh again. It's not showing. Nothing is showing. Type colors. Background. Does not make no sense. Wait, let me remove these. Test to see if this works. Same thing. Okay, then I will proceed to remove the, this is weird. Okay, now it works. Okay, so that it's, I think it was expecting, it was actually prioritizing that as the, for the colors. So this, why is it still showing though? For the different, I think for the different attributes. But why does it work? See, these are, I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. This works, right? If I save this. But anyways, it's working now. So we can be glad. So this is actually a good way of doing this. So now I don't need to select the two fields. I can just go to the card, whoop, switch to secondary, go to the card, and then switch to accent, as you can see. Pretty easy to do. And the fun thing about this is now you can use it everywhere, right? If you want to make changes to the colors, you can do that too, right? And the best thing is you can do it from one place, right? You can do it all from your component. You can just come here. So if you want to change all the accent cards, you do it here. If you want to change all the secondary cards, you do it here. If you want to change all the primary cards, you do it here on one spot. And this way you can scale this and make it manageable. But again, this only works if you're going to use it for static situations. If you want dynamic cards, then you need to actually set this up through called ACF fields, right? You have to use advanced custom fields or meta box to set this up, because it will actually, if you set this up using, if you want to use different colors and you're using variants, you cannot access the variants through the front, through the back end, right? I cannot set a field that will change the variants because I need to do it in the builder, right? I need to come here and actually change this to have a different card. So this will only work in static situations. So to get the initial cards that I showed you at the beginning, what we need to do is the following. So I'm going to again remove these, go into my component, and then I need to apply. So to data scheme, I need to apply my ACF field here. So this is color scheme. I call this color scheme. So now from the backend, once I create a new what's it called? A new post, right? To the new service, and I choose, so where is it in the backend? So here, when I choose I create a new post, I write the title, give it a short description, and then here I set the color. This color will be passed to the value here, and it will then look here in my classes where it can find that color, which is here, and to apply this styling to the card. So I basically set it up. I'm going to save. I'm going to go back, set the query loop to true, and voila, there you go. So in this instance, now we can actually utilize the full power of the components. We can utilize the full power of dynamic data, and we can customize our cards. No matter where they are on the website, we can change the colors using obviously through the backend, right? Because we're supposed to specifically focusing on colors. I didn't want to make this super complex because you can change everything that's on the card, right? You can change the sizing, you can change the colors of the heading, but we just want to identify the different cards by their colors. So we only change the colors. But this will be the most optimal version, that this is it's dynamic, it's scalable, it's manageable. You can add more elements. You can also future-proof it by adding slots to add even more extra elements on specific instances. So it's very customizable. So I specifically did it this way to just show you, from all the way from ID styling, we move it up to CSS styling, and then we move it up to components to actually show you pros and cons, right? CSS styling is not that bad, not bad at all. This is also a good solution, but components will eventually beat just using CSS styling due to it's just flexible and much more better, especially adding extra elements. With CSS, you can do that. With ID styling, you cannot add extra elements and it will appear on all the different instances of your card. You cannot do that. You have to still do that individually, whereas with components, you just do it on the source of truth, which is your root component, and to appear everywhere, right? And obviously slots allows you to add more elements, and that's just super. That's just very cool. And I hope this video was clear, educational. I hope you could follow it. Maybe at times you were wondering what we're actually doing, but these techniques in your own projects. Let me know what you think of this video. Please like, share. Please also check out the like I said, I'm building a one-page wellness spa website. Check that out. You also know what you guys think of those videos, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.